Friday night, I want a Chippy Tee. Chippy Tee, Chippy Tee, I want a Chippy Tee. Oh, you can give me posh, no, she don't agree with me. I don't want lobster thermidor with raspberry coulis. It's Friday night, I'm within me rights, I want a Chippy Tee.
Right, here we go. Let's get ready. So, here we are again. Welcome to episode 26 of... Welcome to episode 26A of Chippy Tee podcast. What is the Chippy Tee podcast? Well, if you've been in from the beginning, you know this already, but if you're just joining us, welcome. This is your chance to eavesdrop on a conversation between two guys from up north of England, two screen printers. Me, Tony Palmer from Palm Print, and...
Danny D from Flipping Sweet Print Co.
Danny D from Flipping Sweet Print Co. with two little winks. And you're welcome to join us and listen in as we have a little bit of a recollection of what we did this week, what happened this week, what's been number one in our Christmas lineup, what have we been playing with, what's resorted to make us happy, and to keep wanting to push a squeegee all week. So I'm going to throw it straight over to Danny and ask you, Danny, what has really jumped out at you this week? Because this is your wind down week. So, number one, are you getting ready for Christmas? Are you winding down? And what have you been doing this week?
Honestly, not pushing a squeegee that much. To be fair,
Did you
just about
that?
wrapped up.
Yeah. That's a good pun. That.
Just a little Christmas pun to start the podcast. So pretty much got all the last of the orders finished out on Monday, all gone, dusted, and now I'm having a bit of a mindset switch. I'm not switching off for Christmas, as you said. I can never do that. Now it's a mindset of planning, looking ahead to the year. What can I do this year that I didn't do this year or the year just gone? Where I can improve. Putting it all down, writing it all down, making a bit of a mind map.
How do you make your roadmap? How do you do it? Do you do it on back of a fag packet? Do you use Google Sheets? Are you an Excel spreadsheet sort of guy?
I'm a bit of both, really. I like a Word document and I like a spreadsheet, so I can sit and open up a Word document and just jot down, make my bullet points, and then elaborate on each bullet point. So. You know, from anything from...
Almost like a letter to yourself.
Yeah. Sometimes I think once you get that little bit of clear headspace, you can sit and type and then just sort of get it out. But through the year, when you're busy keeping up with production, you're worrying about emails and what customers have said or what you need to ink to mix, etc. You can't, because you're in a fog. And whilst you're in that fog, you can't think clearly. And then I noticed last week, even though I hadn't fully finished last week, that fog had just started to settle, and already things are coming to me. Little ideas which seem really obvious, and I think, well, why haven't I been doing this all year? But it then starts coming to me. It's just that fog. It's just like settling now, and now my head's back in a decent mindset.
Can you give us a major? Can you give us a major sort of thing that's at the forefront of your thinking? Something that's sort of not been bugging you, but at the back of your mind all year, something that you're thinking, right, you know what, I'm going to do that.
Well, I'll tell you something major that sort of dawned on me that I can do. So I'm pretty good at building websites. Something I used to do as a kid, started off as a kid, and I've built my own website, and I'm all right for it. I've got an eye for it, I think. I've got an eye for it. I think that's a good way to describe it.
Okay, well, I've got one you can practice on.
Yeah. Well, I'll have a bit of time.
You can practice on.
Yeah, all right. I will. I'm happy to do that.
We've got Chippy Tee. Let me send you some codes for Chippy Tee. Let me do it now.
Honestly, I'm happy to do it. It won't take long.
It needs doing, mate. You should see what I've done. It's horrible.
Well, send it over.
And there is another Chippy Tee.
What?
So I did a bit of a Google search looking for the landing page that I created, which is crap. Right. I'm not gonna lie, it is crap. And when I typed Chippy Tee chippytee.co.uk,
Somebody's
I
got
got
it.
directed to a T-shirt printing place.
I was going to say a swear word. Well, they'll be hearing from our lawyers.
But we've got chippytee.com.
Oh well, that'll do. That'll do.
But chippytee.co.uk is a picture of a
took.
T-shirt landing page.
That'll be one of our listeners who thought, you know what, Danny and Tony are not really on ball. They'll take about 6 months before they decide to build a website. Let's buy that domain, and then they'll have to email us to buy it off them. I can see you again.
Yeah, we'll swap it for a fish supper. You're all right.
Oh, that'll do. Right. So, yeah, so building a website. I've realised, I think we talked on it a couple of episodes about there's something missing, and we was on about. So you was on about okay. We did the graph. Can you keep up with production? Yes, buy an auto. Am I in the position of I'm always too busy, I'm always overworked, always struggling to keep up? Well, the answer
Identify the problem. Yeah.
The answer was yes and no. Some of the year, yes. Some of the year, I'm pulling my hair out, trying to keep up. But some of the year, it goes to opposite end of the spectrum. I'm like, bloody hell, it's dead. What's going on? And trying to get it level out. But I've realised as a marketing tool, I can build websites and I can target specific niches that I have an interest in. So again,
this is where we were saying. Yeah, this is where we were saying, because I was saying to you, I love it when you listen to me. It's like the milk bottle thing. Every time you mention the milk bottle thing, it's just a little explosion goes off in my brain. Like we were saying, if we look at some of the people in the industry, they are successful because they're passionate about the product. And I don't mean the product being printed T-shirts or embroidered hats. I mean the if they're military people, then they're going to military displays, and every weekend you can find them at a military display. If they're motorbike people, you'll find that they're obsessed with motorbikes. And just as a little sideline, they also do some T-shirts. But they're more interested in the motorbikes than the T-shirts.
Yeah. And so I've got a little bit of an advantage, whereas I can build websites, and I've actually started one. So if you're asking me what my highlight of the week was, I've started a new website. It's targeting a specific niche. Won't tell you what it is.
It sounds very strong.
Somebody will jump on it now. Actually, there's a highlight of this week that trumps that, hands down. I decided to slide in a few people's DMs and just get in touch with the type of customer that I'd like to work with. It's literally that simple. Just slide in the DMs. And a couple of pretty big names in the industry, in the niche, niche market I'm targeting. I've got back in touch, and they're quite impressed what they see on my Instagram. And they've said, next year, let's have a chat. So,
awesome.
Sometimes it's just that easy.
Sometimes it pays to listen to Yorkshireman.
It does, or sometimes you have to pay to listen to Yorkshireman. Look, I get it for free.
You do. You get it for free. You're all right. Good. So that's an upside to this week.
Yeah, it's been a great week. Great week, because obviously production done, head mindset has switched. Entrepreneur mode has switched on.
Did it begin it? Well, you got to be a businessman. It's all right holding a squeegee all day, but there's no point producing something that nobody buys. No point, creating this fantastic product for it to sit in your warehouse. So I'm pleased. You've got to try and find a balance. Sometimes, like we said last week, you're so busy putting out fires that you don't realise there's somebody stood behind you with a massive hose that can put out those fires really easily for you if you just let them and you don't say "fuck off, I'm too busy." That's good. I'm pleased with that.
Yeah. So positive week. The future is bright. The future is orange. So what about you, Tony? What's your week been like?
Or a niche reference as well, wasn't it?
Well,
what have I been doing?
Nobody remember that.
No, probably not. No, I am proper in Crimbo mode now.
You're switched off.
Proper Crimbo mode. Started this week working for a company that first got in touch with me about 3 years ago. A company local to us. I'm not sure whether you've heard of them or not. I think you have. They are, they're quite silent but deadly. But they're a good company, and they came to me about 3 years ago now, maybe not even 3 years, with the issue of could I help them printing because they'd not really got into it before. They had bumped into a salesman. The salesman had sold them loads of gear. Not the usual one that sells them loads of gear and fucks off. Hi, John.
I'm speaking to John.
Not that. Yeah, I know. He told me. That's dangerous. So, not that usual sort of auto salesman, but a company selling the Vastex units, and they gave them. I'm careful to say bad advice. It was probably the right advice for the information that was given. It was still heavily biased on buy my product rather than solve your problem. Which is, things sway that way. This is the problem when you ask a salesman to solve your problem. Number one, his first instinct is buy my product.
Yeah.
And then very last on his list is solve your problem. Yeah. So, hi to all the other salesmen out there. So their brief was we're going to produce 500 printed T-shirts per week with a single colour print on the front. That was the brief. And when I got there, that was still the brief with a Vastex 4-station carousel. A little
4-station? Bloody hell.
Yeah, 4-colour 4-station. Cheapest of the cheap.
Oh, well, I suppose
1 colour.
Well, I'm going to say, I suppose they were doing single colour, so...
Yeah. Every possible palette you could think of, as usual, because the salesman likes to sell everything as a package. The full Vastex registration system, which I believe you've had a little bit of experience with.
Don't tell me about that.
Yeah, with the foils, the carriers, the pins. Auto coating machine. No, it's not. Semi-automatic coating. No. A stand for a coater.
The easel.
The easel. So I had to screw it to the floor. It's bolted to the floor with like 4-inch bolts. Because if not, you push it and it just it falls over like a 5-year-old girl. Like,
Why do we sell shit? So the version that bolts to the wall, I've got that and I think it's great. But I can imagine the one that's like an easel.
Yeah, I used that in place in Loughborough. I put a piece of cardboard on put hardboard on some racking, screwed it there. Boom! Easiest thing in the world to coat screens.
Yeah, piss. It's so much better. Yeah.
I
mean, it's the next.
It's like somebody's put some thought into it and then gone, how can we charge more money for it?
Put 3 legs on it.
Floor. Yeah, put 3 legs on it, just the 3 spindly legs. So they came to me and they were like, look, how the hell are we going to do this? And my first initial reaction was, not with this. What do you mean? We've just put all our money into buying this manual flash and dryer. You're not a backstreet cottage market printer. You want to produce like a sportswear manufacturer. So if you're going to have to put your hand in your pocket and buy an auto, and I'll help you decide. We'll have a look at the smallest auto you can get because you don't want to do more than 1 colour.
Yeah.
As things progressed, that 1 colour was a 1 colour water based onto heavy interlock fabric. That heavy interlock fabric takes some filling with Magna Aquaflex. It really does. So we're on multiple layers. So we're like 2 whites, 2 reds, just to get a red colour print, a flash in between each one, hot iron in between everything. It got really complicated. And part of the reason was the company's high quality expectations. Now, we've spoke before about a term that I love, commercially acceptable.
Yeah.
There has to be a point. We are producing onto a moving variable target. We're not printing flat stock. We're trying to print on something that changes by a value of about 20% every time. So one shirt can be fluffier to the value of 20%. One shirt can be more stretched to the value of 20%. One shirt can be more shrunk to the value of 20%. And we accept this commercial acceptability, this value that we have, because it's just a t-shirt. It's handmade. It's not made by a robot. It's made by hand. So if this seam, which should be 2.5 centimeters, is 2.2, okay, we'll have to live with it. It's commercially acceptable. It's not the end of the world. It's still a t-shirt. It's still got a hem on it. And we try and apply some of those rules to the print. Now, obviously, with commercially acceptable, I think it has to, that decision has to be made by either the guy that pays the fine, so the guy who has the skin in the fight.
Yeah.
It can't be little Johnny that smacked off his tits on end at dryer that decides whether to let that go or not and just put it at the bottom of the pile thinking it won't get found. It has to be somebody with a responsible attitude to, okay, this is a 20 grand order. It's going to cost me $1,000 to put this right. Do I make the decision of try and get away with it? Do I know my customer that well that I know what he will accept and won't accept? Or do I swallow the $1,000 and put it right? And there is no good answer. There is no right answer to that. It's all relative to the situation.
It's very, relative. That's the way.
It's relative. Yeah. It's specific to the situation. So, as a fine example to that, this company during COVID had a husband and wife team on the press, and they asked me to print for them for a week, which I dutifully did. Loved it. Sat in a print shop on my own, playing my country music to myself, dancing and singing away like Kelsey Ballerina. And just loving life, printing away to a relatively low target numbers. And about a month later, when I asked if everything was okay, the guy was like, what do you mean? Well, we had to knock some of them back. Whoa, what do you mean? This is like, get the dagger out, stick it in my heart and give it a little twist. What do you mean you had to knock some of my prints back? Do you know who I am? He's like, well, we've got high quality standards. I've got high quality standards. I work for some of the best sportswear manufacturers in the world. What do you mean high? Yeah, let me show. Come here, let me have a look. So I'm straight down, have a look, and there with the magnifying glass with the ring light around it, like your gran uses to read Radio Times.
Aye, proper.
And they're like, well, if you hold it that way and just pull it apart a little bit, you can see a pinhole. How many pinholes? Just the one. Fuck off. You're like, no, sorry, it's just not acceptable. So we've had to, QC ladies actually knocked about 80% of your work back, Tony. I'm like, oh God, really? So that led to the discussion that, look, I think your quality standards are too high. My printing's good. Your quality standards are too high.
Wow.
And I've worked for these big companies. Side note, big company, 4 letters. It's got a swoosh underneath it, and the logo is "Just Do It." How do you pronounce it?
A bit like Spiky.
So it's not like bike.
No,
it's not Nike. No. You think it's Nike, not Nike?
It's Spiky.
Impress me with your knowledge. Why is it Nike?
Basically because I forgot.
Is it by chance named after a Greek goddess?
It is. That's it. It's named after a Greek goddess.
And which Greek goddess is it named after?
Zeus. No, I can't remember. You'll have to tell us.
Greek goddess of victory. If memory serves me right, it's Greek goddess of victory, and her name was Nike, like spiky. So that's how you pronounce Nike. And I've worked for them, and their quality standard wasn't that high. I've worked for the other one with the 3 stripes. The 3 stripes. All Day I Dream About Sex. That one, if you remember that from 80s.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. But now then, ask me about.
How do you pronounce that?
Adidas.
Adidas. not Adidas. Why is it Adidas?
Because it's named after the owner, Adid Das, who was German. Or something like that.
Give me a good German name. The most famous
Adolf.
German.
Sorry, it was Adolf.
Oh, there we go.
Das.
So Adolf
Das.
Dassler was the guy
That
who
was it.
invented the Adidas brand. Adolf Dassler. And his name was shortened to Adi for Adolf and Dassler to Das. So Adidas.
It's almost like we've had this conversation, isn't it?
So all of America's wrong, but it's okay. There's only 10 listeners.
Yeah.
We're okay. So
Chaps with it,
I've worked for
Adidas
those companies and pardon?
All chaps with your Adidas poppers, you're all wrong.
Adidas and Nike. Yeah, it's wrong. So I've worked for them, and their quality standards weren't as high as this particular brand. So I was looking at a place there where, like, do I tell them to lower their quality standards?
Yeah, well,
Because that's really what I should be doing. And I had a go at that, and they basically said no. I said, well, look, you're going to get maybe up to a 30% reject rate. Okay, we'll take that. Really?
well, I mean, here's what you should say.
We'll take that.
Here's what you should say, though. Those standards are not manual print press standards.
No,
Like,
so
you're
by
not
this
going to
time,
physically pull a squeegee
an
and
automatic
receive.
press.
Oh,
We're onto an automatic press
right.
now. So we're onto an
Right.
automatic press. We've got lasers to load, for positioning. They're cutting their own garments, making their own garments. The whole ethos behind this brand is made in England, made in Britain.
Right.
So the T-shirts are made from scratch in England.
Are we
So
actually?
I can go and get, let's say, a 220 gram T-shirt, heavy, ultra heavy. And you can buy it from anywhere from Jerseys to Stanley Stella to Gildan, maybe not Gildan, but any of these brands, AS Colour. And you'd probably be hard pushed to pay more than a £5 for it.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to pay more than a £5 for a blank T-shirt, it's going to be really special.
It's going to be a proper quality.
So we worked out that you're probably going to be making this shirt yourself. There's a very similar range, but you've got no experience at it, and you're probably going to be double that. It's going to cost you probably double that, and you're paying just to say you can make it in England. And I'm me being me, from Yorkshire, I'm like, that if you're the last person to decorate and touch and actually finish the garment, so you brand it and put it in a bag, you are legally entitled to say that this product was made in England, because the largest part of the decoration was done in England. So legally, you are actually entitled to say made in England.
So what you're saying is,
and they were like, no,
I
don't want to hoodwink anybody, don't want to fool anybody. Well, you're going to have to learn how to make garments. Yep, okay. And it's very rare in today's world that I come across a positive, forward-thinking company like that. It's a breath of fresh air, because is that on our bingo? That should be on the bingo.
No,
it's a breath of fresh air shot, and I predict really good things from them. I think they're going to be really big, and the latest iteration from walking in from 500 pieces has now gone to about 6,000 or 7,000 pieces a week, and the next stage 3, if you like. Stage 1 was a manual Bastek. Stage 2 was an MHM. Stage 3 is 2 MHMs in a 100,000 square foot bespoke unit, which goes live in April. And I was lucky enough to be involved and have a good look round this unit, and it's impressive, to say the least.
Yeah, good week.
So that my week started off. Sometimes I'm called in to solve problems. Sometimes I'm called in to address issues, to retrain, to put something right that's wrong, to fix something that's broken. And this week I was involved in a growth project, which is just, I'm quite a positive person. This is just positive. And hats off to the guys, to Chris and Rob that are there. I honestly believe this also applies at our friends across the water at Merch Ops.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that this company culture, this attitude of the company, comes from these squishy things. As much as I sometimes say the squishy things, the people that are there, can have a negative effect, boy, can they have a positive effect.
Yeah.
The whole ethos, the whole company structure, the feel of the company is basically a carbon copy of one guy's personality, which is just teeming with positivity. And it's a great place to be. It is a good sort of a good example for me that I see. Not everything's a problem, and sometimes it's a positive step, and I get drawn into, how can we make this better? How can we do this? What do you suggest for the next stage of this? And Jesus, this is great.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've said to you before, the middleman buying the production.
Yeah.
When the middleman buys the production, like I was in Leicester, and that where we've got a middleman who suddenly is giving work out to 38 machines, and all of a sudden decides that he's going to bring it all in house.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to build a positive company structure. He wants to print as many shirts as he can for as little outlay as possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the buyer and seller technique, the market trader. I call it a market trader personality. The market trader personality is someone who's walking along, sees a line that he can buy for 30p, and he knows he can sell it for £1. Then next week there'll be another line, and he'll have forgotten about that line. And it's all about what expenses he's got and how much he can make out of that particular line. So it's nice to see somebody growing a company in a positive way.
Yeah, for the right reasons.
There'll be like 300 staff at this place with 100,000 square foot. And bear in mind, this was a place when I first walked in with a Vastex unit printing 500 pieces a week, as well as massive demand for sewing machinists.
Right.
Right now in South Yorkshire, there used to be a big company called SR Gents, which had at least 2,000 bums on seats in front of sewing machines. And when it closed down, that skill just dispersed and disappeared. And now we try and get in those skills back, even for good money. It's not crap money like it used to be piece rate. You people put your back neck labels in.
Yeah.
We used to pay them sort of like 5p or 2p for a label. Take them to an Outworkers, and they sit in front of EastEnders and just keep putting labels in. None of that anymore. It's just sat in front of a sewing machine with all the surroundings of a good, professional, growing company, positive company. And it's hard to get people. It's hard to get sewing machinists.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a...
Because we don't make anything anymore, do we?
No, we don't. I have a couple of lasses that I call on when I need made woven labels sewn in.
But you just drop the shirts off with them and then pick them up next couple of days and all done.
They come to me. Well,
they come to you. Do you pay them per hour or do you pay them per label?
Yeah, I pay them per hour. I've tried paying per label. It always works out. I always end up with a little bit of a profit. But they get paid well. But they're quite quick. But it is hard to do. It is hard to find. I had one lass who were doing it, and then when she got pregnant, I had a nightmare trying to find somebody to cover for her. And luckily, this other lass came along, but yeah, I had to find her a good quality
seamstresses. Enough for your personal life.
Huh?
That's enough for your personal life. I mean, I've had a good start to the week. I've got to admit, I'm now in Christmas mode. Hence, the lack of Christmas.
I couldn't tell.
I
couldn't tell.
But yeah, we're in Christmas mode. Definitely, it's come very quickly this year. I don't know. I think at the beginning of the year when we've been ill, I seem to have lost 7 days. So, and then it's just crept up on me, and basically now from the 3rd of January back into it non-stop. So that's good.
Oh, you're on the road again.
Almost over.
3rd of January, straight away. So there's not much of a rest, is there, really? Week?
No, I'm straight back into it. The only thing I'm not doing is anything in between Christmas and New Year. And I think the only reason I'm not doing that is 90% of my customers shut down.
Yeah.
It's an English thing. It's a UK thing in that we close for Christmas.
Yeah.
Almost everywhere else will just close the holidays. You know, the 2 days.
Back in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or whatever. And then we'll have New Year's off.
So it'll be Monday, Tuesday off, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in, and then Monday off, and then back to normal. So there's only 3 bank holidays. But a big English tradition is to turn the lights off on Mad Friday. Mad Friday.
Mad Friday. Hey, there'll be some
Mad Friday still a thing?
Yeah, especially in
Is it
bread.
still a thing?
Be a few black eyes and bloody noses in bread tonight.
In bread. Mad Friday.
That's
so
why
Mad Friday's still a thing. Then we finish half day on Mad Friday. Everybody goes to the pub, gets wankered, spends kids' Christmas present money, and wakes up with just whiskey and regrets the next day. Yeah.
Bloody crackers!
It's like a country music song,
isn't it? I've got a burning question, Tony. It's been plaguing me mind as this for a while, and
okay, keep it clean.
So, on a night, are you a shower before bed or a shower first thing in the morning type of person?
I'd love to pretend that was left field. It's a
It
burning question.
better the first time I asked you.
It's a burning question, but without doubt, the only answer is shower in the morning.
Oh, that was terrible. I really did a really bad job of delivering that one, didn't I?
It's absolutely shower in the morning. No doubt whatsoever. Shower in the morning.
I think you're a weirdo. Who the fuck
no,
gets
you,
in the
you
bed
think you
filthy?
think I'm a weirdo for going to bed dirty, but you live alone.
Wow. Well, actually, that was a little bit. I hurt a little bit, actually. I might actually cry.
Do it quietly.
Right. Let's talk about screen printing. I've got this. I've noticed recently. Some of it just sort of caught my eye. Now, we've touched on registration marks before, but I saw the weirdest thing the other day, and it's wrong. And basically what I saw is here, okay, up Jack. He's been very well behaved.
Yeah, that's because I let him out before we did this.
Yeah, it's because he's knackered after he's already had a walk. So, the thing is, Jack, what I saw was a fellow screen printer using 3 registration marks at the top, and it was a centre registration mark at the top, and it was like a crosshair, and then either side there was like 2 different variations of registration mark, nothing underneath. Now that's the first time I've ever been aware of that. That blew my mind. That can't be a very optimal solution.
Well, it depends. Registration marks there's still a bit of a bone of contention around the world because we've got so many different methods of getting an image to a screen. So if we're old school or just starting out or on a budget, then we're on an inkjet printer, no doubt. The inkjet printer, I've got 2 different sheets of one colour on each sheet, and I have to get them in the screen in the same place. Now, if I've got an old-fashioned Anatole press like yours, then tell it, Jack. If I've got an old-fashioned press, then with open clamp system, then the open clamp system allows me, I'm going to probably say 1.5 inches error. I can be wrong by up to about 1.5 inches.
Yeah, you're right.
Either way.
Yeah.
Certainly,
so
if you've got side clamps, then I can be 3 inch, 4 inch out up top to bottom.
Yeah, you can. Sometimes I take advantage of that.
Yeah, and put 2 designs close together.
Yeah. If I'm doing neck labels, I might do 2 rows and then just shuffle it across.
So if we've got that sort of setup, then what do we want the registration marks for? Because it's no longer that crucial where I actually put them, because I've got so much room for error. And all I really want to know is where's the centre of the design. Well, I can do that by measuring the fucking design. So I almost don't need them. I'm going to put them on because they make me feel all warm and cuddly and safe inside.
Yeah, but that kind of proves my point. Why the hell would you have one at the top and then two either side? Why don't you just have one top and bottom down middle? Because all that really
stop the
matters
twist.
is your centre line.
So we've got to stop the twist, and we might not have enough room at the bottom. So
All right.
if we're using two designs on one screen, then that's what we'll do. Is we'll change. We'll get the designs as close as possible. That means losing the bottom cross.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Registration crosses are a bleed point. They're a weak point in the screen. So we've got a couple of ways to tackle that. Best way, the way that I love, get rid of them. Absolutely delete them. But to delete them, we have to have confidence in our pre-press, knowing that we've found another way to position everything in the right place, either with CTS or LTS or a computerized system that places the image in the same place every time. Once we have that becomes a constant. So all we have to do then is set our press to be that straight center constant. Then we know for a fact that we can just throw the screen in, put it in, and it's straight and central. Don't have to measure anything. Tommy T Square can fuck off and do one. We don't need him anymore. And everything's good with the world. But if we haven't spent $100,000 in the screen room, then we need to find a way to make sure that when we do take our screen to the press, it's straight and central. Now, for about $3,000, we can get an FPU, a film positioning unit, which has got crosses down the centre. The film positioning unit. Yeah, film positioning unit.
So you can use. So that's suitable for a manual.
Because we have got an open clamp system, it becomes difficult on a manual. The only way it would be suitable on a manual would be to have the 3-point tri-lock system.
Oh, right, yeah.
When we have the 3-point tri-lock system, then it's worth it. 3-point tri-lock system gets rid of the open clamp system, and each one fights the other. I think you've tried the 3 points, and you had to cut away your arm or something, or cut away your pallet, or cut away something.
I had to modify the jig that sits on the pallet because basically the person who sold that company, Vastex, also sold me something which was ill-advised.
Did they sell you it?
They did, yeah.
Are they up in Dales?
They really?
Are they way up in Dales?
Way up there, yeah, that's right.
Way up in Dales. So like a way Dales almost.
Yeah. They neglected to inform me that
it won't work with
all singing and dancing. No, it's only works on a back clamp, not side clamps. So that was useful.
Yeah, only works on a back clamp. Yeah. Because the side clamps basically hit the tri-lock.
Yeah, but this is why I had to modify it. But by the time I'd done all that, in practice, it just didn't work. It just didn't work. It was rubbish. What is that dog doing?
He's just got a bit giddy.
Is it what I'm going to say? Doing backflips or what?
He's performing tricks. No, that noise was his squeaky duck. It wasn't his ass.
All right.
Just in case you were thinking that were the dog, it was actually his squeaky duck.
That's what people sound like after Black Friday on a morning.
After Mad Friday.
Yeah. I'm just taking advantage of this little bit of hectic shenanigans to pull up my notes list. Not that I refer to
you said
notes.
You didn't bring with you.
No, but I'm got Google, haven't I now? There we go. Nobody will know. Magic.
So, the registration marks. I know where you're going with it. So the registration marks, because they're a leak point, they're a weak point on the screen. We want them as far away from the design as possible so we can tape them up.
What do you mean by a weak point? you say weak or
There are a
leak?
point where ink can leak through.
Right, leak point. Right, all right. Yeah.
So they're a weak point on the screen. We only use them in setup. Once we're in production, we put tape over them. Now, in water-based, a lot of the adhesives that we use on the polythene tapes are water-based. So when we put water-based ink, pushing water-based ink through those crosses onto the water-based adhesive on the tape, it melts the tape, it bleeds, and it starts to sweat underneath. And then it either falls off or it leaks, and you're constantly chasing that leak then forever.
Yeah.
If we spot them out, some people say, "Oh, I'll just spot them out with blue filler or with emulsion." Well, then what the fuck did we put them on for?
Yeah, because
when do we do that?
Once
Afterwards?
Yeah,
no,
you can't do
no.
that.
So what are we doing? What are we using them for? I tended to use them for straight and central, but then with the FPU unit, I found that I didn't need to. But the FPU unit gave me this drop.
Right.
So my left chest is here, my back is here, my front chest is here, back hem is here, and I've got numbered crosses 1 to 10.
All right. It's almost like a
so
template.
Therefore, I always set this on cross number 3. I always set the other one on a cross number 4. I set that on a cross number 2. So I've got a point of reference to go to. And the whole process wouldn't work without reg marks. And those reg marks, to find out whether it should be cross 2 or cross number 3, I have to have a set distance from the top of my design to my top of my reg mark.
Yeah.
So I'm building constants in Illustrator.
Yeah.
So on my Illustrator page, in the background, in blue guides, hidden and locked, are my 10 crosses.
Yeah.
So then I will drop my image relative to a cross. And then I will output the film, and the screen guy knows to set this on cross number 3. He also knows to set all of the other colours in that job on cross number 3.
Exactly the same, yeah.
So because on a press with auto reg, so a press like an MHM, which has front and back clamps with pins, my level of error, my margin of error, is 25 mil. That's 25 mil total. So that's 12.5 mil forwards, 12.5 mil backwards.
You've got to get.
So I've now got to be really accurate.
Bang on. Yeah.
Yeah. But, I should be really accurate. The only reason I'm not accurate is because I've had a press where I don't have to be. So therefore, I can now guess, or I get my ruler out and I shut one eye, hold one thumb up to wind and go, that's about 7.5 centimetres.
Yeah, but that doesn't work.
And a third of an elbow's cubit.
That don't work when you're going for, if you're registering a 6-colour job. Because if I register if I tape films to my screens for a 6-colour job, if I've not got them relatively, and when I say relatively, I mean within, I don't know, let's just say half a centimetre, they have to be pretty close, because if they're not, if they're a centimetre out, or if there's any sort of angle, they're not dead straight, you have a hell of a time registering it on a manual, even if you have got all that leeway and extra room to move your clamps about and stuff. It just makes for your job a pain, like a major pain it has to register. So you do have a bit of freedom with your clamps, but I think even then you do need to be pretty bang on, really. I mean, you're never going to get CTS or Tri-Lock accuracy.
No, but with like a film positioning unit, where it's always on cross number 3, and it's always the point of having 2 in the centre means you get rid of the twist.
So what is
There's
a
no
film
chance of a
positioning
twist
unit?
if you've got 2 in the centre.
What does it look like?
Film positioning unit. It's
kind of what I've
It's an upside down print head. So it's an upside down print head, and in the centre, just in the centre, are 10 crosses, and at the bottom is a movable line.
Right.
So I basically hold my screen on upside down, clamp it in, and then just put my film on top to cross number 3, get the bottom straight in the central, stick it down, done.
It's basically what I've built, but more accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Oh well, I'm on the lines then.
Yeah.
Getting closer to it.
So if we spend shitloads of money, we can get rid of them because we trust the process of the designer, the screen making system, and the press. They're all calibrated together to work as one beautiful, well-oiled machine. If not, we need to put some furniture on there. The furniture is job name, Pantone colour, 1 of 2, 3 of 3, 4 of 4, 5 of 5.
Yeah.
Because if you're where you are, you make the screens and you print. If we split that task, if I gave you a Magic Joey and I said, right, Magic Joey's going to make all your screens for you, and you were on job 5 of that day and it's 6 screens and you can only find 5 of them, the first thing you'd do is go and grab Magic Johnny by his testicles and say, where's screen number 6?
Yeah.
And he's going to say, I made it. Well, I've got this and this and this and this, and nobody's got any numbers on them, and I don't know what Pantone it is. I don't know what job number it is. Oh, I put it on the other side of that blue one. Bastard.
I hate that.
So,
I've learned the hard way not to do that. So, you know, some people will put a chest badge at the top of a screen, flip it upside down and put a neck label, you know, to save
top
it's
and
posted
tail.
on the screen. I can't.
Top
I
and
won't
tail.
do that anymore because it just bit me
I
too many
stopped top and
times.
tailing.
Yeah,
I stopped top and tailing because it's cost so much time to look for that missing screen.
Yeah,
And
that
the
too
job
many
that you do
fucking misprint.
first, the job that you do first in white plastisol,
Yeah.
you know you're not going to clean it, so you're going to put it on rack because
Yeah.
the job on the other side of it is going to come in. And then 2 weeks later, it doesn't come in. So now you need a screen. You don't want to strip that one because it's not been used yet.
Yeah.
So you're now leaving the library of screens that are half used. And then it does come in, and the customer says, can I have it black now? So you go, wash all the white out anyway, pull all that tape off that's now become harder than Gorilla Glue. And away you go. You realise that actually the time you could have spent to just remake the screen would have been less than the time you're now pissed about.
Yeah, I just don't think it's worth it now. I think I've
You end up
forgot to
making
tape
more
things up
screens.
too many times. Well, that's an issue, but I always mess up and forgot to tape or something, and then I'll be like, I'll switched it all around, and I've messed up a shirt, and then I just think, just don't take that chance.
No, it's. I took the decision working down in Luton that right, stop topping and tailing. Well, we use more screens. I can get the price of a screen down to £3.75. If I spend more than 20 minutes with a team of 3 people looking for cleaning and preparing that screen, then I've actually lost money.
Yeah.
I know that at £3.75 I can just remake the screen.
Yeah, you might as well.
Same with colour changes.
Yeah, that's another
I
thing.
do the same with colour changes. So colour changes used to charge a tenner for. And I'd say to the sales guy, it's going to cost me more than a tenner to wash this screen. All you've got to do is wash it out. Right, well, I'll tell you what. I'll come
Not if it's water-based.
I'll come and get you when it's time.
Yeah.
When it's time, you get out your ivory little tower, put some gloves on, make sure you don't get anything on your Gucci shoes, and come and wash this screen out for me. And I'll set a timer.
Yeah.
Oh, it's simple. You just got to wash it out.
No. And if it's water based, you're at risk of deteriorating the screen quality. You might lose you might lose your edges. You might all of a sudden introduce some sawtoothing.
Got a little tangent to go off on.
Oh, go on then.
Emulsion.
All right, go on.
Emulsion caused me an issue.
With it, haven't you?
Emulsion caused me an issue this week, and it's made me want to revisit emulsion from a more technical standpoint.
Yeah,
I have a good understanding of emulsion. I have a good working knowledge of the chemistry, physics, and theory behind emulsion, which would usually stand me in good stead to pick the right emulsion for the right task.
Yeah.
But when we look at emulsion, I bet I can find you 100 different emulsions.
Oh,
if I started to look, I think I could. In fact, there's a guy in America who says he's tested at least 100, and I believe him. So it begs the question, and I try and explain this to people who have got no screen making knowledge. And I say there's 100 different emulsions, and they go, well, what do they all do? Well, they all do the same thing. What? Why is there 100 different ones? Some are fast, some are slow, some are diazo, some are photopolymer, some are dual cure, some are triple cure. Okay, what do we need? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You're supposed to be an expert. Well, I like this one. Why? Because if you use my discount code, it's 10% off. No. I like this one. Well, why? Because I can use it with plastisol, and I can use it with water-based to an extent.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I don't want to do in a busy print shop is I don't want to run 2 types of emulsion.
No, not ideally.
I know a company down in Leicester, all their 43s are usually discharge bases. So they usually coat all their flood coats, all their base coats, with a water-resistant emulsion.
See, I've had that thought. So literally, using a bucket for 43s, your base whites, because I use HSA.
Aquaflex white. Yeah.
And then just
Aquaflex.
using
There's no point hiding behind HSA now.
using my Aquaflex. So I've had this thought that maybe 43s should be a proper water-resistant emulsion, and then everything else can be me one that's good for both, as you said.
How many screens a day do you make? Roughly. A week. Got a week. 20, 30, 40?
50, maybe, at a push.
50 a week.
On a good week.
So imagine a shop that's on 100 a day, 100 to 150 a day.
Yeah.
Running 2 different types of emulsion is logistically difficult, not impossible, logistically difficult. So you want to find an emulsion that suits your workload. So if your workload is 5% water-based, 95% plastisol, then you want to find an emulsion which, if you happen to have a water-based job, you've got to make some backup screens. And that's the price you pay, making some backup screens. Now, I've come from a place where they say they're using 2 to 3 sets of screens a day, and they're only producing about 1,000 to 1,500 pieces.
Wow. That's not worth it.
So,
come on. Surely.
So something's wrong somewhere.
Yeah.
So straight away, what emulsion are you using? Right, well, I'm actually using Magnus emulsion that supposedly go with their ink. Now, I've done trials with Magnus emulsion. I know. Careful, Tony. I know what it is. So I know where it comes from. So therefore, I've put it into different print shops. But this is no word of a lie. In London, 2 printers on the same road, about 3 miles away from each other. And I put one in, and they got 10,000 prints out of Magnus emulsion. 10,000.
Yeah.
With no issues, no breakdown, no problem. Easy reclaim. So obviously now I'm onto a winner. So I go 3 miles down the road to another London printer. You could argue the conditions are the same, even the water pH is the same.
Yeah.
They can't get 100 prints out of it. Same emulsion. Exactly the same. So what are they doing differently?
I went to, as I've mentioned, I went to the academy, and one of the things that struck me was same emulsion. I use the same emulsion. They use the same emulsion. Their screens that they had there, which they pull on and off for demonstrations and test runs constantly, they felt different. There was something different about them screens, and to this day I've not worked out what it is, but theirs felt like a very water resistant, almost a hard plastic coating, whereas mine can be a little bit absorbent.
You know you can get screen hard.
Yeah, we talked on this. Yeah, you reckon that's what it is?
So screen hard now makes a chemical reaction which really does strengthen everything. Back in the early days when I were a lad.
Get a shot down there.
Back in the day when I were a lad, we used to harden all our screens without exception, no exception. Because
does it make
we knew
it impossible
we were going to do a print run, and that print run was going to last maybe 30,000, 40,000.
And does it
So
make
we'd
it
harden all
impossible
the
to
screens.
reclaim, though? Or
No,
does it make
impossible.
it hard?
Cannot reclaim.
Can't.
Cannot reclaim. Impossible. But the hardening process could take 24 hours in the sunlight. You know, it wasn't a shortcut.
No.
And I've suggested this as a possible solution to the place where I was. And they were like, well, we don't mind. You know, if it's 20 quid for a new frame, we don't mind.
Considering you, how
But
much
we've
you're doing,
tried
that's
it. We've tried it and it didn't work. They still fell off. They're still
Well,
disintegrated.
I tried hardener, but I did use a different brand, so I were mixing brands, and maybe that's.
I'm sure. I'd love to get pulled up on it because you know I might be male, but I'm not always right.
She's definitely not in that room because she would have said it.
I've been dodging stuff. So I think that you have to have the brand of hardener to go with the brand of emulsion. If you take a generic hardener and put it on a specific emulsion, I think you're probably going to lose something. Plus, the application the application process of hardener. I used to get dragged with this. 1989, I was, given this task, and it was basically both sides with a sponge.
Yeah,
both sides heavily with a sponge. Then put them in the sunlight and leave them. And then 20 minutes later, go back with a dabbing rag to dab out the image area. Right. And then leave them for a good 24 hours.
Yeah.
So that was the sort of like the process, and we never got any problems with it other than we couldn't reclaim it.
No, once you've done it,
and this company say they've tried that and it didn't work. And I'm now of the opinion, okay, it could be one of, I think I counted 5, one of 5 things.
Right.
We've got environmental control.
Yeah.
50% humidity, remember? We've got coating technique. We've got
an easel.
On
the coating
press.
Must be immaculate.
It's manual. So it's different every time.
Yeah,
the drying process, how do they dry them stood up? Do they dry them laid down? Do they dry them at 30 degrees, 40 degrees, 100 degrees? You'd be surprised how many people still put fans so close to them to try and get them to dry.
Yeah.
And so all these little myriad of things, the degreasing, how they clean them, what chemicals they use to clean, how well they rinse those chemicals, how long they leave them to dry before they coat them. All these myriad of little things, and it might not be one thing, but it might be 5% of each thing.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to find out why a screen's failing, but it's usually one of those. It's usually humidity control, bad cleaning, or really aggressive press techniques. So Aquaflex is an aggressive ink, Discharge is an aggressive ink, and so therefore we have to back off and find minimum pressure to print with. Certainly on an automatic, we can do that. We can find the point where it doesn't print, and then have a little bit of pressure on, and we're on minimum. Yeah, we can control those variables. Yeah, I was over in Europe, and I washed the screens, and they all went, "What are you doing washing the screens?" So it's break time. We're washing the screens. So you can't wash the screens; it'll fall apart. It won't fall apart. Oh fuck! It's falling apart. It just fell off in my hands. Just fell off. Yeah. And they said, "Oh, no, we don't touch it. Once it's on, we don't touch it." Fuck. I've had the middle of an A, or that the middle of the D on your
just
thing.
like come out. Yeah.
Move.
No.
It moved. No. And I'm like,
come on.
There's something not right. So imagine that D being slippy. Yeah? In the middle of that D, and it just moving up a mil. Just up a mil. So I'm looking at it and going, the reg is off. But the reg is perfect everywhere. But the D looks wrong. I'll move it down. Move it down. Now the reg is really mad. Move it back up. Right, I've got it back in, but the middle of the D's off. Print a few more. It's worse now. Why is it worse? The middle of the D is the middle of the D moving it. We're actually floating on the screen. You can move it around with your finger.
Wow. Well, it must be still wet then, surely. Or it would just like it just
I
dried
think it
almost
was
like a sheet if it was just loose.
underexposure, I think. So this particular instance I'm talking about has a LED exposure unit. You have got an LED exposure unit.
Yeah.
They're currently exposing at 3 minutes. I asked you what your exposure time was on your little M&R Starlight
Yeah.
LED unit. Same emulsion, same mesh count, and you are under 10 seconds.
Yeah. That's a hell of a jump.
I'm at 3 minutes.
Bloody
Now, when I
hell.
count the LEDs on this Vastex unit, there's 24 LEDs.
Right.
Now, that's not a lot.
I don't. It's not.
No, 48. There were 48 LEDs, sorry. There were 48. There were 4 strips of 12.
Yeah.
So it's a very small starter unit
yeah.
for an LED.
If I think about mine, it must be. Well, it
96
must be
probably.
close to 100. Yeah, there's loads.
So I looked at this LED unit, and when I looked closely by basically tricking it, holding my finger on the switch and turning it on to make it burn my eyelids to bits, which is probably why they're like that now. Then I counted 11 dead LEDs.
Right.
Missing LEDs. So straight away, I might be exposing for 11 minutes, but I've got very, very little strength on the actual power output.
Yeah.
And I have got still people exposing with fluorescent tubes, and as long as the frequency of light hits the magic point where the emulsion cross-links onto the fabric, onto the polyester mesh, then, one downside is it takes 10 minutes or it takes 10 seconds. And that's just to do with the beg your pardon, knobhead?
That's me, everyone.
A little dick. A little dick. Come here.
What's up with him? Not getting enough
He's
tension.
just sat there barking at me. Yeah, basically, yeah. So, yeah, there's thanks, Jack. Not bad.
I can't hear fuck all out of this here. That's it.
Basically, trying to find that issue, it drove me so mad that it's prompted me to up my knowledge on emulsion.
Yeah.
There's a guy in the States, the emulsion guru, you probably follow him, and Kevin Cowth at Chromaline.
Yeah.
And what he doesn't know about emulsion is not worth knowing. So I'm going to grab hold of him in January and basically vacuum as much information out of his brain as possible to try and find a solution to this breaking down. It should be easy to solve because it's 100% water-based shop.
Yeah.
With good, solid techniques, but something in the chain is wrong.
I'm almost glad. You know why? Because it makes me feel a little bit better that I've not solved that problem with the exact same emulsion. Because there were...
But it's supposed to be for water-based ink.
Exactly.
And it's sold by the company that provide the ink. So therefore it should last 10,000 prints.
Yeah.
So why doesn't it? Is it the fact that as an industry we now concentrate on pieces of less than 100, so therefore it doesn't matter that it doesn't last?
Yeah.
Is it the fact we're trying to find a catch-all emulsion that suits everything? Or is it LEDs? We used to use metal halide lights.
Why would Magna need a catch-all?
Metal halide lights, our friends... Oh, my friend, not yours. I think they blocked you. Have gone from an LED to a metal halide because they're getting...
Which ones?
Better, stronger emulsion. And it begs the question, are we using an emulsion that's tied to a metal halide frequency of like between 380 and 410? And our LEDs being not being broad spectrum LEDs are only emitting 408. Because the problem with LEDs is they are single spectrum. spectrum.
It's a very narrow
Probably
window.
I'm probably getting the science wrong, but the bandwidth.
It's a narrow window.
The frequency of the light has to be between, if memory serves me right, between 380 and 410 for emulsion to be activated by the light wave.
Yeah.
And if the light wave is small, it goes through the emulsion. And if the light wave is too big, it goes past the emulsion. So it has to be that size to get through the emulsion.
Yeah.
That's how I explain it. Scientifically, I'll probably get pulled up on that. But it's a very sort of like layman's explanation of the frequency of the light hitting the frequency of the thing that makes the emulsion change from water soluble to water resistant. So, is it the fact that emulsion was very good for metal halide and is not as good for low powered LEDs?
Yeah, that
is
might
it
be.
that it needs a diazo? Because
I've tried it.
I once had this problem and I rang Magna and they said stick some diazo in it.
Tried it.
So what does that do? It
Slows
slows
it
slows the speed down by 30%, but it makes it stronger. Oh, fantastic! I'll cope with that. It didn't work.
It didn't. I tried it. Told me the same thing.
It didn't work.
It didn't work. And all you're doing is you're just slowing your exposure times down. Adding an element. Well, I've got to pre-mix it in, and I've got to wait for air bubbles
Shelf
to come
life.
out. Yeah. Plus you're putting an expiry date on it. And I went back to just using it straight out of the pot, and it were. And also, this is just a case of dialing in my exposure times. I was getting a bit of exposure without the diazo. I was getting crisper images. So
because the light's not burning the edges away.
Yeah. So in the end, I just went back to straight out of the pot, and it's a shame because as an emulsion, to get an emulsion that you can just use straight out of the pot, go up the bugger, dry it, use it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's just that little bit of the water resistance, in particular to Aquaflex White, that sort of lets it down. And I just wish I could crack that little bit, because I would go back to
Waterproof and
using
water
way more of it.
resistant. Waterproof and water resistant, completely different things, and that's what we've got to look out for when an emulsion is peddled or sold as water resistant. Means it's got a little bit of resistance to water, but it's not waterproof.
No.
So I'm tempted to be looking at I think it's a higher solids content, because with a lower solids content there is more water, and a higher solids content there is less water. So if you give a solids content of 50%, there's 50% solids and the rest is water.
Yeah.
So if you've got a solid content of 65%, then there's only 35% water in it. So therefore it's very easy to get rid of 35% of that water in your humidity, temperature, environmental controlled screen room.
Yeah.
If we go the other way and it's only a 35% solid, that means there's 65% water to get rid of before the emulsion starts to do its job properly.
Right.
So from experience, I think higher solid content is more expensive, but more stable. And this is what I mean by I need to educate myself. Why is there a high solid content option? Why is there a low solid content option? Where's the peak? What do I need for my t-shirts with Aquaflex, with long runs of? I want it to last a 3,000 run, which is what we typically call a day's run.
Yeah.
So I want it to last 3,000 prints, and if it lasts 3,000 prints and then it breaks down, okay, I've got my money's worth out of it. And I'll accept it. But I'm talking even putting tape on the top, all this shit, and it's still breaking down. Then it's not fit for purpose. But I can't go and say that to Magna. Number one, they don't make it. Number two,
No, they don't.
Number two, they don't care, because they'll just throw another, Billy Joe Bob down the road. He gets 10,000 out of his. So it must be you. You're doing something wrong.
Well, this is the thing. It's like some people are making it work fine, whereas others are not, and it's just finding out what the difference is, I guess.
Well, this is the annoying thing for me. I go to those places. I go
You
to the
still can't
places.
work it out.
I go to the places going really, really well, and I look intently on what they're doing. Absolutely
Can't
nothing
spot it.
different to the guy down the road who is failing. So it's not obvious what's
No.
happening. Other than, obviously, not everybody's got the same environmental controls, not everybody's got the same chemicals, and not everybody's got the same exposure unit.
No, I guess it's got to be something there.
On my roadmap for next year is to educate myself more in the chemistry of emulsions.
Emulsion.
One of Tony's New Year's resolutions.
So why can the same brand of emulsion? Why do we have water resistant? We have emulsions for water based, and we have emulsions for plastisol. But surely a good water based, water resistant emulsion, surely you can print plastisol with it anyway.
I can only think it's down to money. The stuff they put in it to make it resistant to water makes it expensive.
Yeah, right.
So a big company that buys 1,000 litres at a time, which some companies do,
probably.
are going to go, look, we don't use water based here.
We need
Can you make this cheaper?
Yeah,
we can take this out of it, and it'll last just as long as you never put water based in it.
Yeah. I guess.
It's the same theory as why there's so many different versions of white.
Yeah.
Same theory. One white flashes fast. One's got dye blockers in. One's optically bright. One's got good stretch resistance. And once we start to play with those 4 values, you get one that's up here as a number 5 and down here as a number 3, and you get all these different versions of white. It's the same thing with emulsion, in that somebody probably brought out a PHU 1 and went, okay, this is really good. And then Nike or Adidas have come along and said, okay, we like it, but can you make it expose faster? Yeah, we'll just make PHU version 2.
Yeah.
We'll put something in it that makes it go faster.
Right.
PHU was just a generic 3 letters that I picked out of nowhere, by the way. There's no relation to any product outstanding on the market right now.
I bet it's red. Oh, God.
It's pink high unit.
Well, they call it red, but it actually is pink. Right, can I go for a wee, Tony? Can I go for a wee?
Yes, mate, yeah. Off you go. Monitor?
Oh, I've got a good one for you. Right.
It's not what do I dry first and last so we can reuse a towel, is it?
No. That was terrible when I wish the original version, when I asked it first time, it was way better. I delivered the line much better and out at blue. Anyway. What a shame. So Tony, I've got a hack for you, which I think you'll appreciate, being a Yorkshireman. Yeah, being a Yorkshireman, I think you'll appreciate this. So,
yep.
Do you know how in a print shop we often have multiple different print pattern variations all over the place, and it's quite a pain in the ass to store, isn't it? So I had this really good idea of using a screen cart.
Hang on. I'm calling bullshit. Would you like me to show you the photo? Would you like me to show you the photos?
No, I nicked that from Bryce.
I did this down
Fantastic idea.
Did this down in London. Very first time did this down in London. Managed to get a full set of adult boards and a full set of sleeve boards on one.
Oh,
that's
cool.
Because on an MHM pallet they are 800 wide, and a regular screen is about 790. So, yes, works very well.
Yeah.
I've looked for a solution to storing boards, platens, tables. What's the right word?
Well, we think it's platen, but people call it pallet.
Everybody says pallet.
Yeah, but I think it is. I think technically we decided it was platen.
We decided it started as platen, got changed to pallet, and even now in the software of the machines, it'll say pallet change or index pallet.
Right.
So we have to sort of use maybe it's pallet.
Maybe
Tables used to be beds, pallets, platens.
Right.
Used to be the sort of like the accepted. So the solution is just chilled now.
It just
solution,
snorted. This went.
The solution has been looked for a while. I've got a company in Colville in Leicester, and they made, imagine MDF pigeonhole boxes.
Right, yeah. Right.
Yeah? And then, because they usually like that, a pigeonhole, and you put your letters in.
Yeah, yeah.
Tip it on its back and put it on wheels.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I've seen
drop
somebody uses that
So you
system.
drop your sets of pallets in there.
Yeah.
Action Engineering have
They've
made a
built one,
unit
haven't
which has, again, taken the upwards slots
Right,
and laid it
diagonals.
down so that the slots are like that. Otherwise, it would fall over. There's a lot of weight in
Well, they've got one
18,
that bolts
pallets.
to you can bolt it to like a rack. They've got a vertical one now. I'm pretty sure I've seen it.
There's a lot of weight there. Hell of a lot of weight there.
It is, yeah.
And then the putting them into a screen rack, I just found out by mistake with the sleep boards. So where can I put these sleep boards? Put them in there. I thought, does that sit on there? Oh Jesus! Look at this. I can get like 4 on one shelf because the sleep boards are only like 5-inch wide. So I could get about 4 on one shelf, and straight away I thought this is a good idea, and it works really well.
Well, I saw it.
Where have you seen it?
I saw it on Mercop's. Bryce put it up last night on one of his videos. Just sort of saw it in background as it were going through clips. I thought, wow, that's genius. So it was your idea. Yeah. Actually, I didn't realise it was you. I just thought...
No, I'm not going to say it's my idea. I'm saying I did it before I went to Bryce, and I saw that Bryce had done it as well. So a couple of shops have... You can pay up to 280 quid for a pallet, a board, a table, a bed. Yeah. They're thin honeycomb, 2mm aluminium sheet, honeycomb and 2mm aluminium sheet. And most of the time they're held on with a pin or a bracket underneath. Yeah. So you've got a lovely straight surface and this big fuck off stud underneath. Yeah. And little Slack Joey will put stud to face when he's stacking the pallets, and you want to kick him around the factory. Because what you don't realise is that dint is exactly in the middle of a chest print every time. And there are some ways to repair it. I have some people, our friends at H&D, Hopes and Dreams in Russia.
Right, H&D not heard of this one.
He asked me, look, with everything that's going on in his part of the world, it's impossible to get replacements. Is there a short-term fix? And car body filler is a short-term fix.
Oh yeah,
so two-pack car body filler. Flatten the dent out, sand it down, paper over the top, and you're back on a result with a nice flat surface again, and it withstands heat quite well.
Put a lot in, or
it's a good little fix. So there's my shop hack.
Well, I was impressed anyway. Would you like to hear about my new purchase? Got a new purchase.
Oh, what we bought?
I bought, and this is very important to the business. A big widescreen monitor. Now, when I say widescreen, I mean super widescreen. So it's like 42 wide. And now there is a very logical, business-oriented reason I wanted this.
I'm not your accountant. You don't have to justify. Is that what it is behind in your bedroom there? No. You've got a 42-inch new monitor on the screen on the wall. You've put down as a monitor, but it's really a Sony Bravia TV.
No, so I've got this massive widescreen monitor, and the reason is Monday.com. Now, I have my Monday.com boards, as you call it, and I plan out my jobs. And in my jobs, I'll have artwork done, films printed, screens exposed, etc., etc., etc. But I've run out of space, and I'm always having to scroll across. Now I've got like 7 times the space, and I can fill it up with every single detail. So I've been going over Monday.com and getting really, really organised, and I'm super excited.
Have you always used Monday.com?
I've used Monday.com, yeah, for quite a few years. Good.
Do you know
Good
who
4 or
else
5
uses
years. No. Go on, tell me.
it? Your buddy Bryce.
Does he? Now,
Yep, they use it. They swear by it, and it's really, really useful to them. But I think it's a little operator input heavy.
it requires you to do a lot of like the automations and stuff like that. This is what I'm working on now. There's a lot of work I'm having to put in. I'm gonna have to spend a good chunk of this Christmas working out how the automations work and manually.
Well, you know whose DMs to slide in now, don't you?
He might not reply.
'Cause he makes it sing and dance.
Yeah,
He really does
can
make
be
it sing and
super
dance. I've been
powerful.
in his shop.
Yeah,
There is no paperwork. You know, it's all monitors at the press.
yeah,
All sent and all done. We
Yeah.
know everybody knows where everything is in Monday. And it works really well.
even down to emails, you can automate it. So let's just say I've got my processes, every step of a process. As I tick them off, I could even have emails go to my customer and say, right, he's made your screens now. And you know what I mean? And just like update them throughout the process. It just keeps them updated. And then you can automate it. So let's just say they've received their order a week later, they get an email saying, was everything all right?
How was it? Yeah. Has it still
Give us
washed
a
off?
review.
How's your Pantone match?
Oh. Yeah, but so stuff like that.
Is it 208? Is it on 208 or 207?
208 or so. Was it 208 or was it halfway between 207 and 208?
Hey, listen, these aren't washed off, mate. You're doing all right. Look, these aren't washed off.
No, I do have moments of self-doubt. I do sometimes. I think, what's that? Is it like imposter syndrome, where you think, what am I doing here? Am I really what I'm?
Yeah, imposter syndrome is you don't belong where you are. You don't think you're as good. You are pretending to be a printer.
Yeah,
you're just getting away with it.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I'm alright with that.
Sometimes I feel like
it's worked for me for 30 years. I'm still doing it now. Consultant? What do you mean, consultant?
There's a few consultants with a hell of a lot less experience. So,
gurus, mate, gurus. Hate the word guru. I could never call myself a guru.
No.
It's a new monitor. So that's now in front of you the whole time. So you've got a good idea of the status of each job.
So now
it's difficult
for you
because you're the one that changes the fucking status anyway, so you remember where it is anyway.
Yeah, but...
Or have you got RJ doing it?
No, it's me who does it all, but it's just a lot to keep on top of and track. And I like to visualize everything. I like everything in front of me, color coded. I like to tick things off as I go. I like lists. So just having that just gives me all this space, all this real estate, screen real estate as I call it, to really flesh it out. And it'll just help. It just help with my organisation and just make a big difference. It's part of my master plan for getting on top of things next year. I think Jack's been really well behaved this episode. Look at his face.
It's going to be an arsehole though now, isn't it?
He's got a proper...
You're going to be an arsehole, aren't you?
So let's finish off and say, what if you could change anything for this coming year or achieve anything this coming year? What do you think? What will it be? If there's one plan? Go back to his cloud diagram.
That's a hell of a question to throw at me. I throw you shit questions. Stick to the script.
Well, I've got to think of mine. I hadn't really pre-thought this, so I've shot myself in foot a bit, really.
So,
since it's a Christmas episode,
what do I want to achieve this year? One goal I want to achieve.
Yeah. let's finish off the
Or
year.
if we narrow it,
what are you going
if we make it nice and simple as to one goal to achieve for next year, I think for me, it has to be the certification.
Yeah.
I remember we had the discussion about the certification. This was suggested. This wasn't my idea, right? This was suggested by a customer in Leicester who wanted to have a certification for his operators so that he could use it as a selling tool. My staff are certified as a. What did you say? You said he was being good.
Jinxed it.
He's being a dick. And so he could use it as a selling tool, as a certification for the level of skill his operators have. Now, when the guy said that to me, it was like a light bulb. Didn't just turn on, it fucking exploded in my head. Because I'd never thought of it before.
No.
I didn't think there was a need for it. I didn't think there'd be a demand for it. I didn't think it would be something anybody wanted. The more I've thought about it, the more I've sat with it, the more I've worked on it, and I've issued my first certificates. This is the beginning of something, the beginning of a really good idea that would be crazy for me to... I'm a little bit bouncy with ideas. I come up with an idea.
Yeah.
I've given you 3 or 4, and I've said I'm going to do this with it, and we never do anything with it. This one, I don't think I can afford to let slide.
No.
This time last year,
Because someone will do it.
I would have said I wanted to do my humidifier, and I've got all the stuff in my kitchen to build a humidifier, and I've not done anything with it. The UV thing.
Yeah.
I've got a guy screaming at me to push this UV thing. Somebody's made me a flash and sent me a video of it working.
Fucking hell.
And I'm not doing anything with it.
Well, send it to me.
We've got...
I'll use a bugger. I'll test it for you.
We've got... I know, yeah. We've got all these different things. And they're a great idea. And then real life comes in and... shit is the fan. You've got to be somewhere. You've got to do something. You've got to achieve something, and it goes out the window. It becomes back burner. I think the certification, the giving a certificate is has got real legs and will bring authenticity to what I do. Rather than somebody saying, yeah, Tony came in and ripped us a new arsehole, told us we're doing everything wrong, and then fucked off again. But we actually have a set plan on, look, you've invested in this machinery. Now invest in a little bit of training to have it certified that you know what you're doing with it. Get your license, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
I think your provisional. Then after you've done your provisional, you can get your full driving license.
Yeah, and I think what'll happen is... See, my worry would be, like, I wouldn't have been able to get started. But what would happen is you've almost got a standard that...
No, because you're thinking of it as a requirement. I'm thinking it as an option.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. That option might become an industry standard where, almost like a plumber, you wouldn't get anyone in who's not Corgi registered or whatever it is called, if you know what I mean. So those plumbers who aren't have to go out and get that accreditation anyway, because they won't be taken seriously otherwise. And obviously that's not going to happen instantly, but over time it might become.
That's a long way down the road.
But I don't think that's a negative thing, because I had to think about this after the conversation, and I think it could be a positive thing, because it forced me back in them days to print and sell my own t-shirts, but not print for others until I've learned or I've got this accreditation, or I've messed up enough of my own shirts, but I'm actually good enough to offer it as a service. Whereas when I first started, I offered it as a service.
Your fuck-up box has to be full before you can graduate.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. And so it might not necessarily... I think that's a good thing.
So that's mine. What's yours?
I don't know. Not thought about it.
You're a dick.
I think
You throw that at me.
I know.
You throw that at me from nowhere,
shot myself in
and you
front
haven't
of
got an answer.
I have an answer, and I'm trying not to say it because it's really obvious, and everybody will be taking a shot.
All right, okay.
I
So
think
vaguely, you're going to concentrate on a niche.
no, that one. No, the answer was. I think I've got to get an auto. Like that's. I think that has to be it. I think.
You have to get an auto, but you also have to look at the surrounding bits of your auto. You know, can you fit it up those stairs? Do you need a new dryer to go with it? You know, all this other crap that goes with it.
Well, this is going to come with
so
the road.
I don't think it's just a matter of getting an auto and stick it in the corner.
No. Well, I've had that option. I've had that option a few times where I could have took on a good deal, an auto, got a good deal for it, but they've been sat in storage. So she's telling you off because she's starving.
Yeah, it's time.
Me too, to be fair.
I'm not giving you dead eye.
We're going to wrap it up now anyway. So
Right.
we're pretty much finished for Christmas. This is the 26th, so we've done all right.
26?
That's not too bad. 26th episode.
More to come.
Half a year. Yeah, that's half the year, so 6 months.
If we can sort this bloody
Can't
internet
remember our
connection
first
out,
one. I
anyway.
think I was in Ireland on the first one? Or
You was in Ireland, yeah. You was in Ireland for your very first episode. I remember it. And
drinking too much Guinness, which made me agree to it when you said, let's do this.
No. You was in Africa when you agreed to it. And then the very first episode was Ireland.
So, thanks for joining us on the 26th episode. Me and Danny are going to switch off for Christmas. We're now going to get into the spirit of things and turn the Christmas tree lights on because Danny's out on yet. There they are. Look, I can see them.
There's not got many on. It's just really shit.
And we're going to switch off completely. We will have another catch up in between Christmas and New Year, where me and Danny will tell you our New Year's resolutions. Not just one, a full list.
Yeah,
of New Year's resolutions that we are going to achieve by this time next year.
I'm going to manifest it.
Manifest it, yeah. We're going to manifest it, yeah. Yeah, we'll manifest what we want to happen for the next year.
Yeah.
So it remains to say thank you for joining us. If you like what you hear, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. You will always catch both me and Danny on Instagram and other social medias. No, just Instagram.
Just Instagram.
That's all I do.
And OnlyFans. Tony, not me.
Next. That's next. Well, it depends on the subscriptions, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
So, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you. Have a good holiday.
All best. Happy Christmas. I'll turn it off.
Happy holidays.
Yeah.
I don't want lobster thermidor with raspberry Kool-Aid. It's Friday night, I'm within me rights. I want a Chippy Tee.
Nike.
Because
Because a lot of people say Nike, don't they?
Okay, so which one's right? Does it rhyme with bike or spiky?
Well, I don't know. I would say bike.
Nope.
Is it not? So it is actually.
No, it's named after the Greek goddess of victory, who was called Nike, which rhymes with spiky.
Ah, interesting.
So it's Nike.
So all
anyway.
these chavs are actually right.
Yeah, printing with that. However, on a side note, 3 stripes. How do you pronounce that?
You see, I would say Adidas,
Yeah.
but others would say Adidas.
Right, so you're right, Adidas. You know why?
Right.
Because the guy's name was Adolf Das.
Oh, well.
So his name shortened his name to Addy, which is an abbreviation of Adolf.
I didn't know
Das.
this.
Yeah. And I was in America printing for this company, and all they would do was Adidas. It's not Adidas, it's Adidas. No, it's Adidas.
Hell.
No, it's Addy, as in Adolf Das. So I digress. Tangent.
I enjoyed
Excuse me
that.
while
That was
I
a really
dash
good
off
one.
onto a tangent. Because somebody did tell me that I know too much for one guy and I should have been twins.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I did my usual stuff, went down, had a look, and could see, there's a couple of pinholes, but completely and utterly commercially acceptable. Not a problem with them at all. You're a dick,
What
Jack.
are you doing, Jack?
He's just a dick.
And that light had just gone.
Yeah, dog's pulled it off.
Oh. This is going so
Glamorous
well.
assistant's going to start. Yeah, I know. This is one of our best episodes.
I've had 3 internet
I
disconnects.
know I should have done it in there, but we're doing Christmas one, and I can't find a Christmas jumper, so I got a Christmas tree. So, I'd said sort of like, yeah, all right, I can see, but in my defence, what I produced was completely commercially acceptable. And my advice to you, because you are new to this, you've never done this before, my advice to you is you are looking for faults. And if you will look for faults in a printed garment, you will always find them.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you're looking with a magnifying glass and an inspection line. They basically took this off.
It's Friday night, and with him you're right.
And they
I
want
want
their
a Chippy
costs
Tee.
superbly high, which you've got to.
It's commendable.
I've got to take my hat off to them. It's commendable. I don't think it's commercially acceptable, but by their own admission, that's not what they're in it for. They're in it to produce a high quality garment.
Yeah.
We go right back to they're making the garment in England, making a t-shirt from scratch.
Oh, they make their t-shirts today.
They make their t-shirts in
Ah.
England. So
Yeah.
I said, look, get yourself on a boat to Turkey, buy yourself, a high quality 180 gram t-shirt. When you decorate it in England, you can put made in England on it, because the last point of decoration, the last bit of manufacturing was done in England. So therefore you can actually put made in England on it.
Right.
So no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to hoodwink people. We don't want to. We want to be truthful. We want to be made in England. So, well, you're going to pay 3 times. You're going to pay 3 times more for your shirt once you've made it in England, because the labour's more expensive. You've got to buy all the equipment. So they went out and they bought the massive big cutter and all the sewing machines and I don't know where we're going with this, but this is where I've been this week. When they first started at 500 pieces, compared to where they are now, and their next step is into a new build. And I was really fortunate enough to go nosy around this new build, which was uber impressive. We played the £1 million print shop thing.
They've just set it up.
They didn't have a limit. It's almost as if you play that game, but there's no limit.
Wow.
And I'm not talking about the screen print part of it. I'm talking about
there's more to that business.
The other manufacturing part of it. It's the head, shoulders, knees and toes, or something else. Knees and elbows. I don't know.
Yeah.
But from what really warmed the cockles of my Yorkshire heart was to see manufacturing in England.
Oh,
to see manufacturing in England, number one, done properly, because I do see manufacturing in England, certainly around the East Midlands, and it's not really done properly. It's done economically. Be careful there, but it's done economically.
Yeah.
Because to produce something in England is approximately 4 times more expensive than producing it offshore.
Yeah. Definitely.
If we just go to somewhere like Turkey, which is not quite in the European Union, but not quite out of the European Union, so it's got good trade deals, but no restrictions on minimum wage or working conditions, then we can pretty much get good labour. If we go further east and we go right out to Bangladesh, and where the average wage is $75 a month.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, you work it out. Yeah, $75 a month. So when we're faced with that, compared to what we have to pay people by law, then obviously they can produce things a lot cheaper. So to bring manufacturing back to the UK is number one, brave, or stupid. Can't work out which one. And
I think very commendable. Very commendable.
it
It
is
reflects
really
in the
commendable.
quality.
The quality.
I
The
can
quality
totally
is
get that
untrue.
mindset. What you just told me, I can 100% believe, having owned a few of their products, because it is meticulous. It's immaculate. Like it's
is.
mega. You
Quality-
can't fault it.
Quality control is huge, and I'm of the type that not it'll do. Okay, this is a really dangerous slide.
Yeah.
There is this striving for 100% perfection, and then there is the it'll do, never mind, put it at the bottom of the box. And then somewhere in the middle of there, in that grey area, there is this commercially acceptable, where, look, this is a hand process. So therefore, just placement alone, their tolerance for their placement is plus or minus 2 mil. Now, we've got number one placement on a press. So, okay, you've got to be accurate to be within 2 mil on a press. Okay. Yeah, all right. I could probably get that. Then you've got to take that and sew it up on an overlocker, put a hem on it, do everything else again by hand, and still remain within 2 mil from there to there.
Okay, now.
Those sort of tolerances are normally plus or minus 5 mil.
Yeah.
And if they're out, you will get a QC department meeting where everybody will say, look, these are just a little bit out. Let's keep an eye on it. Let's put somebody in to monitor it. Let's do some more training. But the product won't get rejected.
No, but in this case
here,
it would.
In Rotherham, the product got rejected.
God.
Which is, like you say, I think it's a good word that you use there, commendable. I like it. I think that's a good description. Expensive. But it's brand building. And it really... I see so many, I don't know whether I'm fortunate or unfortunate, Danny, but I see so many people start. I also watch them fail. I know that's a bit sad and a bit downer at Merry Christmas and everything, I do. I am fortunate or unfortunate enough to see people full of vigour and enthusiasm and lit up to start producing and start printing, and then they always do a year. They'll always do a year, no problem, because the first year is probably the easiest. But then the second year hits and the VAT bill comes in, and the rates are due, and the enthusiasm's died a little bit.
Yeah.
The staff keeps changing. You still got to make the payments on everything that you thought was going to be fantastic, and all of a sudden, along comes the repo man to take everything away again.
Yeah.
And I see this cycle a lot. I see people that do longevity as well, but with longevity, there's no change, no progression. They still exist in 3 months' time, in 6 months' time, in 12 months' time, in 18 months' time. They're still there, but they haven't changed from when they first started. Because there is no spare money for investment. There is no vision and future roadmap as to where we should be in 5 years' time.
Right.
So
that's an important lesson.
It is. You need to have a roadmap of where do you want to be in 5 years' time. Me and you have this discussion, and I think it's important for you personally to have a roadmap. I don't know about you, but I personally create a 5-year roadmap for myself every 5 years anyway.
Do you really? Wow.
I do, for where I want to be in 5 years' time, yeah.
I don't think I've ever thought that far ahead, but I will.
I passed it on to my kids. My kids do it as well now. Just a very broad sort of, where do you want to be? Where do you want to be at in 5 years' time? Because you have to have something to aim for, to strive for.
Yeah, definitely.
And that then, it's really endearing, really nice, really good to see an English company growing with high quality, with the passionate about their product and passionate about the people that are working for them. Again, you don't get this very often.
No.
To be passionate about the people. So where they are, there used to be an old company called SR Gents in Barnsley, sort of like south of Barnsley.
Yeah.
And they had about 2,200 women sat on sewing machines making clothes for Marks and Spencer's. And this was part of the rag trade, part of the industry, dead standard. But Marks and Spencer's made the decision early 90s to start doing everything offshore where it was cheaper, and they closed it down. Now, those women found other jobs in supermarkets, they found other jobs in other places, but what we lost was the skill of a seamstress, of someone that can sit on a sewing machine and make a piece of garment and make a piece of clothing.
Yeah.
And now, this particular company, silent but deadly, this particular company are looking for seamstresses, and they can't find them. They simply can't find them. It's not that they can't train them; they can train them to do the job, but it's finding that. You know, you're not that old, but there was a point where you lived, certainly in South Yorkshire, was you either went down the pit, you became into steelworking, heavy manufacturing, and the women went sewing.
Yeah. Well, my granddad and my dad went down pit.
Yeah.
So it's only a generation ago that was the case. So
it's not far, no. But we've lost that skill now. That skill of sitting on a sewing machine and making garments. It seems to have disappeared. Yeah. And now, when we want it back, and we're putting the word out for, he's asked me, is there anybody you know that can work on a sewing machine? So I mean, I'll put it out there. If you live in South Yorkshire and you've got on a sewing machine,
on a sewing machine,
there's plenty of opportunity.
Yeah. Somehow I have to outsource. Obviously, I can sew a straight line, just about get away with it. But like any hem labeling and stuff, I mean, obviously we're talking about a completely different world. We're not talking about hem labels. But even I have to outsource it, and it is actually quite an hard thing to find somebody who's all right on a sewing machine.
It didn't used to be. You used to
just to get a couple
pick up a stone, throw a stone, and first of all you hit a screen printer, and then you hit a sewing machinist.
Yeah.
and now there's nothing. Even a sewing machine mechanic. The last guy I knew that was a really good sewing machine mechanic moved on to embroidery machines. Started life as a sewing machine mechanic, but moved on to embroidery machines. And now trying to find somebody that's a sewing machine mechanic, it's really difficult because you might have done an apprenticeship, you might have trained, you might know the insides of a sewing machine inside out. But the amount of people with 1,500, 2,000 machines that want constantly servicing, they're the ones that have gone. They're not here anymore.
I dropped a rate ball at me. I could have picked up a sewing machine, £600, and it were a proper industrial job. I forgot the brand, but it was the one. It was the
brother
brand.
And Juki and Singer. And...
Juki.
Yeah.
It was Juki. I'm pretty sure it was Juki. And it even had this feature where, because I only need it for hem labels, and a hem label is just a little rectangle.
Straight line, yeah.
And it goes, rather than me going, right, that's straightish, it goes, and it does, and you set, you want, I want it an inch, just done. Oh, £600. And that was a few grand machine. And the bloke just wanted it out of his hair because it was actually that unit. You know, if you remember, I was going to look at a unit and I couldn't take it because it chuffing cesspit or what do you call it? It was in the back of there.
All in
ground,
they were clearing it out.
They were clearing that out and they wanted rid of it. So, bit of a bullet dropped. Sorry, that was a bit of an offshoot of whatever you were talking about.
Yeah, so now that's what's missing now is the staff to be able to bring that sort of high quality manufacturing back. Because with high quality manufacturing comes a higher wage. It's no longer, we're not on minimum wage anymore. We're on good wages where, everybody gets paid a decent living wage now. So, I don't know.
Funny tangent.